You were in the movie Expelled.
Correct.
And how was that experience?
It was a wonderful experience for me, and it opened up doors to a lot of people. In fact, what's interesting is that certain people, sometimes when I would talk to them at conferences or whatever, and I would tell them some of the things I was working on, they'd say, "Oh, you got to see the movies," or "Did you see the movies?" So that's one of the humorous sides of it.
I wanted to explore this connection further, so I met with the author of From Darwin to Hitler, Dr. Richard Weikart.
Hitler and many of the physicians that carried out this program were very fanatical Darwinists.
We're here with Richard Weikart. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Richard, is what got you started in, going to eugenics, getting into Hitler and Darwinism, and how'd that all fit together? What brought you to that path?
Interpreted Darwinism in the late 19th, early 20th century Germany. As I got doing that project, I realized that a lot of Darwinists were trying to replace Judeo-Christian ethics with evolutionary ethics in late 19th century Germany. And that got me interested in the issue of evolutionary ethics. And so when I began my research project on From Darwin to Hitler, which is about evolutionary ethics, I wasn't even thinking about Hitler. I wasn't even thinking about drawing any connections there. But as I began investigating, I started finding out that the people who were promoting evolutionary ethics in the late 19th century Germany were also promoting euthanasia, eugenics, and racism, scientific racism and such, and the connection just became very clear that, hey, this sounds a lot like Nazi ideology, and sure enough, so I worked on my book and put those things together, and From Darwin to Hitler. The Hitler connection was the most controversial part of that book, right. So I followed it up with a book called Hitler's Ethic, where I examined Hitler's ideology in detail and looked and showed conclusively that he was promoting a Darwinian ideology.
Now, Richard, were you able to teach this stuff at your university that you were at? Were you able to put this into play at the university while you were out there?
Oh yeah, I use my books, in fact, in my classes, and my Hitler's Ethic. I'm teaching a course on Hitler in the Nazi era right now, and my Hitler's Ethic book is one of my textbooks that I use there. Yeah.
And now that humanism seems to come full circle now, it hit its height at least. What do you see when you look out there at the university, what the kids are teaching? It's a lot of self-glory, wanting what's good for them only, and someone else shouldn't reap the benefits that they have. Do you see that a lot going on?
Yeah, and in fact, my book, The Death of Humanity, that just came out in April, addresses issues about the way that secular ideologies have permeated not just the universities, but our whole society in many ways, leading to what some people are referring to as the culture of death that we're living with, moral relativism, all the other kind of things like that. I deal with that extensively then in the book, The Death of Humanity. And I try to sort of, even despite the title of the book, I'm actually not pessimistic. The reason I wrote the book is because I'm hoping people will change, and that it will get people to thinking about it and thinking about the contradictions in their own thinking, that we should be valuing human life, and that because of that, there really is a creator who made us.
That's right. Where do you think God has you going in the future as you move forward now from this point on of your life? Where does God have you going with that? Another book maybe?
Well, I just put out 2 books this year, The Death of Humanity and Hitler's Religion. So actually, I'm interested. I'm moving a slightly different direction. I'm going to keep working on these things to some degree. In fact, I've got another book in mind, maybe about just Nazism in general instead of just Hitler. My Hitler's Ethic book's just on Hitler. I'm thinking about broadening that out and looking at just Nazism in general. In fact, I've published an article in German Studies Review, a peer-reviewed historical journal about that. And I may expand that then into another book eventually. But I'm actually I'm doing some actually new I'm going a new direction, looking at history of religious revivals in Germany in the early 19th century. So,
good. Well, we need that. We need more of that, especially coming out of there. So I appreciate your time, Richard, and I hope God just blesses you as you move forward.
Yeah, thanks for having me.